As natural woodland becomes more scarce as cities develop, we visit what will soon be a botanical haven. Chifwema Arboretum is Zambia's only arboretum and is meant to showcase Zambia's diversity of trees in a natural setting. Having only just opened, there are many plans to develop this arboretum further into an educational center where children can come and learn more about our local flora.
So, we've actually started this arboretum. An arboretum is a living museum of trees. Basically, this land here was all farmed at one stage, and we've just left it over the last 30 years to re-establish itself, and we've also planted some trees in it.
Yeah.
We've had horses running in it, cows running in it, and we've kind of ignored it. But now we've kind of woken up, and the trees, some of the trees have really grown into their own space. Some of them have come up on their own, as I say. Some of them have been planted. We have now got level 1 accreditation from ArbNet,
Okay, nice.
which is an international group of arboreta from all around the world. We've met their criteria, which is we're open you only have to be open a few days of the year to the public, and you have to have labelled, I think, between 50 and 100 trees, and we've got a sort of basic database of the trees that occur here. Our long-term vision for the Arboretum is that it will be open to the public. We will have a small education centre and a cafe. We are currently looking for funds. We've managed to get funds from the Elephant Charge for the sign at the road and some education signboards, which we will be developing in the month of October. And we're hoping to have an official opening in October with the launch of our book.
Oh, lovely.
We've written a book, Trees of Zambia, and it will be for sale from September onwards. The only kind of worrying aspect of this is unplanned development around us. It was a very peaceful spot 2 weeks ago, and it is no longer a peaceful spot. We have a brick factory who work 12 hours every day with a most annoying noise every 30 seconds.
Have you seen then that that's creating dust that's
not
blowing
yet,
into the arboretum?
but it will do.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's something we are currently fighting and using energy that we could put into the Arboretum. We've just won today I heard, another award from the Botanical Gardens.
Oh, lovely.
For $1,000 for tree tags.
This is from BGCI?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
It's there.
And you are a member of BGCI
We
as well,
are a member of BGCI. And we are a member of ArbNet. So that's really cool. We're very happy about winning both awards, and so.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now you're saying to be open in October.
Well, we're having, I think, an official opening with the book launch. So we'll invite government staff. We'll invite we'll invite a load of people and have a function.
And after that, you'll be open during the week.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday morning. And for school parties, we'll have to work very closely with GRI in the national park because they have a lot of school visits.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So kids could come in here and spend an hour or two in here, and then an hour or two to see the elephants, and then it makes a good.
At least they'll see what trees can look like here before going to Lusaka National Park, where those trees are not as big as they should be, ideally, I suppose.
But they will be, won't they?
In time. Yeah. No, definitely in time.
There's a tamarind. This is a Galpini.
This is the Galpinia that you're saying.
Again, very fast growing.
And very spiny by the look.
Very thorny.
Yeah. The straight thorns are one thing, but the curved spines are even worse, in my opinion, because they grab you and they don't let you go.
No.
And quite painful usually.
Yeah, you should put some of those in your living hedge.
Yeah.
So then there's a row here of crotons, 3 in a row, with a silvery leaf. and how it drops to the ground. It's very beautiful. We put those in the ground thinking, well, we'll sell them, dig them up, sell them as fully grown trees. But actually, we're never going to do that.
No, at this stage, they are part of the arboretum.
No, exactly. No, exactly.
And I can imagine this place kind of feels and changes so dramatically once the rains come and it greens up. You know, at this time of year, it's actually quite nice because you can walk through, you get the sun. But then in the rainy season, it's probably nice and shaded and very calming in here. Are you going to plan on having a system of the way they do with some botanical gardens on Arboretum in the west of like a friends of Chifwema Arboretum, to people who might want to come and walk in the early morning?
Friends of that, and also a volunteer system where people
they can come and do a bit of work.
Volunteer guides,
nice.
to walk people around, say this is that, and also it's all being done on the. The bit of loose change in my pocket, which is very few and far between. Also a QR code system, so that a tree would have a little QR code and you could stand there with your phone and you could read all about what the tree is. It will save us quite a lot on printing out of labels and information boards
and labels being stolen then too. I know that can be a problem.
No,
if you steal a QR code label, there's not much to really enjoy.
No, not much you can do with it, no. We'll just wander down to we found, obviously it's always been there, but for some reason we found a grove of Brachystegia speciformis right in the middle of this, and it's lovely. It's got a very...
Now, I've never tried growing Brachystegia from seed, but I believe them to be quite difficult. Am I wrong in that assumption?
I think you're quite right. They're difficult from seed, but we have got quite a lot growing that have re-established themselves, most in particular in that part of the Arboretum. And Adam did plant some, I don't know where he got them from, but also when he collects seeds, scatters them. And it's remarkable how many have come up. We'll see that perhaps later on, because a bit hot now. You like my man in the bush there.
I was wondering what that was actually when we were further over.
Well, we'll go out that way.
Are you planning on incorporating a bit more art into the Arboretum?
And well, that's just been given to me, and I just love him there. That's where the education centre will go, and the cafe.
Taking advantage of the shade as well, and enjoying.
Well, he was in the sun, and everyone said, "Oh, he's getting so hot." So we moved him into the shade. There's
Diplorhynchus.
Diplorhynchus. So this is the example of the tree tags that we're using. In order to have become a recognised arboretum, we've had to have labelled at least 100 trees, which have been labelled.
All in the space here within the Arboretum.
This one, there, and our garden, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because we started labelling the trees in the garden, but now we've got the money we'll do a load more. They all come from Signs of the Times, and they're so helpful there. So
it is an interesting tree, Diplorhynchus.
It's got an interesting bark.
The ones I find that you'll come across, and especially chippia woodland, because it's burnt so much, you see the thickness that the bark can develop. Whereas when that's not a pressure, obviously you don't have fires coming through here. It has a much thinner bark by comparison, but up on the lake where the fires go through regularly, some of it was almost 2 inches thick. It's just amazingly thick on it to keep it alive.
Chewing gum tree, I think they call it.
Yeah, I've heard stories of people using it to fix gaskets or things like that in the bush back in the day.
And then there's some wild carrot coming up there.
Very nice.
And it's coming up everywhere, and that's great.
It is a lovely tree. It's not a big one.
I think it would make a very nice garden specimen, because you could those flowers would be brilliant in flower arranging. In fact, I'm going to do a flower arrangement.
But also for bees. Obviously, that is a very important source of nectar and pollen at this time of year for bees.
So
you've got a young Borassus here, though.
This is a very young Borassus, but it came on its own, which is what is interesting about it. And And you know, we only do have 5 indigenous palms in Zambia, despite the fact that most streets are planted with palms. None of them are indigenous. I always say to people, why plant palms? We don't live in Saudi Arabia. And this is a Borassus palm, then there's the raffia, there's the phoenix, there's that one, hyphene.
Yeah, and then there's the one that they make the furniture out of that grows up in far north. It's a climbing palm actually in the forests and things like that.
In the book, I think.
It's hard to find, and I think northwestern and far northeastern is the only place.
So I think we've got 4.
Forest more than.
I think we've got 4 in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, raffia.
But
raffia
like you say, these you cannot grow in a pot. You have to establish the seed in place.
Yeah. Do you? Well, anyway, that's established itself. Goodness knows where it came from. But it's surrounded by Flocortia, which is the governor's plum, which people love eating.
Although it has to be ripe. I find it just pulls out the moisture from your mouth if you're eating an unripe one on this.
Yeah.
And then we've got a nice mubanga, the Pericopsis here.
Yes. Yes, beautiful.
Starting to grow.
Yeah.
Lovely wood, but it's just so hard. Have you tried growing mubanga from seeds? No luck. Yeah, it's a difficult one still. I have the theory that the Miombo woodland has a lot more trees that are very much more difficult to grow because there's probably those mycorrhizal associations, which then make it, you know, you have to have the right mycorrhiza to the right tree in order for it to get growing.
I think that's right.
But riverine, munga woodland, it's so much more easy to grow those species usually. And then you've got the colors on the dikaberry here coming on as well.
Yes, beautiful, and there's a big dikaberry there. There's a big one on the lawn, which we'll see. Yeah. And there's a whole grove of dikaberries in the other side that have all come up on their own. It's quite extraordinary. And it's like here, Dichostachys has all come up on its own. Oh, okay. Big grove of it. I think we'll leave it there just because it's interesting at Christmas time. The Dichostachys is the, what do they call it?
The Chinese lantern.
Chinese lantern with a purple and yellow flower. It's only pretty for a small amount of time of the year, but it has an interesting pod. Yeah,
they're very twirled in together. And
I've seen it. I have seen it in Livingston in those hotels there where they have planted amazing indigenous gardens there. And in fact, that was part of our inspiration because we saw the nursery for that development. And the Dichostachys, there's one Dichostachys right outside the front door of the 3-star hotel, and they pruned it into this most amazing shape. So I've always considered it a weed until now.
It is, but it is, you know, by comparison to most other woody species, it is a woody weed.
Yeah, it is.
You just have to figure out how to control it best, and how best to utilize it within your space as well.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it. And you know, if you wanted it in the garden, you could prune it.
We have it in our garden there. I actually don't do very much pruning. It's now kind of reached that age of it just existing on a nice level, you know, it's reached its equilibrium. But I use it again for the pods for the goats, because the goats are quite happy to eat the pods. And but I do control seedlings that come up because I don't want it spreading.
You don't want it everywhere, you see it's here everywhere.
Yeah.
So all this land was farmed 30 years ago. And obviously, I don't know if they didn't take these trees out or if they're 50 years old, I don't know. But it's just a whole grove of Brachystegia spiciformis, which I think has a lovely feel about it.
It does. You know, it's not just the feel, but it changes even from the ground floor when you look here. Just over here, you got long grass, all of a sudden it just disappears into a very sparse grass, but then there'll be more herbs and other things like that. Miombo is my favorite woodland to walk through in Zambia. And it provides such a lovely upper canopy, especially when you get trees that just are much bigger than the rest, and then the kind of succession going down into the next level, a few smaller things like that, like you've got, what is this here? So this looks like a, in the mint family, Rothica. Oh. I think this is a Rothica coming up to flower here. And then you'd have your ground flora effectively. And it's magical.
What is nice about the Brachystegia sort of up there, they're much closer together, they're much, you know, you don't have the space that we've got here, which is lovely.
No, this would be a bit of a lovely picnic spot.
Yes,
too.
that's what we thought.
No, keep an eye on these. They should be opening in the next little while. And send me a picture and I can confirm. But I think it should be, they used to consider it a clerodendron, but then separated it out because it looks vastly different from the pure white flowers. It should have more of a lavender purplish color to the flowers and stuff.
Lovely, oh no, we'll look forward to that.
I've got a Rothica species that I got from northwestern province that I'll try and bring some around for you eventually. And this is what, sorry?
Boehmii coffee.
Oh, the one of the most sour fruits in Zambia.
Boehmii caffra?
Yeah.
Now I've heard stories, and I can't confirm it, but that these are hemiparasitic, that they parasitize the roots of other trees around. I'm not certain on that. I don't know.
Well, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, they usually grow in fairly close association. But yeah, I don't know if I've ever found a tree that has fruits that I wouldn't say doesn't immediately make you spit it out because of how sour these are. They're lovely for the first second, and then oof, no, it's like being slapped in the face.
Ooh.
I think you've got Sphenostylus here with yellow flowers.
Oh yes.
I'm trying to grow it at my place as well. I need to grow a lot of my stuff on raised beds because otherwise everything is competed against the grass. So I have to do that. But yeah, no, I'll come around and have a look around
that'd be great.
as things come up. And we can then document also what you've got growing in the undergrowth.
That would be fantastic when it all starts coming. We put this pond in years ago. It was tiny, just this one, and then we extended it. And it doesn't have a pump or anything. We just pump a bit of water into it from time to time.
Yeah.
And I thought it would make a really nice picnic area. So we planted the grass. Then Adam said, "No, what am I doing? It's not natural." So anyway. So it's kind of, you know, a little bit of one and a little bit of another sort of thing. But there's some lovely trees coming up. And really, what I wanted to show you was the bark of this erythrina here. Yeah. Which is fabulous, and then there's a really lovely knobthorn there. I mean,
they are fantastic. And I think, am I wrong in the assumption that near lakes people use some of this time as floats and stuff like that?
It's very corky, isn't it?
Yeah, that it would help in terms of helping to keep the nets and things like that from sinking too much effectively.
I think it's a fabulous tree.
They are fabulous. You just have to wait for a long time for them to flower effectively.
Yeah. Well, this one's now flowering, but right up there.
Yeah. Almost always out of reach.
Yeah.
And you were saying the knobthorn, sorry?
The knobthorn is here.
Who's behind this? Oh wow, yeah, look at that.
I mean, it's just...
That is unmistakable.
Unmistakable.
Yeah, and these are much more conical comparatively to the bark on the erythrina. The other tree I can think of that has something similar to this is xanthosxylum, in the same family as orange trees and stuff like that.
Oh yes.
Has that quite aromatic leaf, but also forms these very thick and pronounced thorns on the stem. Very uncommon to come across xanthosxylum though. I've only seen it in a few places. More so on termite mounds as well.
I think we planted this tree. I'll have to ask Sam. Did we plant this tree? And we planted the erythrina. from a truncheon actually. And we had some Syzygium indiense, but we've taken them out.
Oh, okay.
Because they were overpowering.
Yeah. You have them elsewhere for the fruit.
We have them elsewhere for the fruit. The kids love the fruit.
Yeah, they're delicious.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to see, is this this red? Oh, it's a Brydelia. That's the Brydelia. I mean, that's a fabulous example of what the Brydelia does.
And the fantastic fall color.
Yeah, it's just super.
But I do find it misleading because young Brydelias have big leaves.
Yes.
But then when they get to this size and then more mature leaf comes out, it's almost a third the size. It considerably drops in size, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, so yeah, there's quite a bit more to the pond back this way.
Yeah, so it goes back here.
I didn't quite realize.
We've planted agapanthus and dietes and jacamari in here. Well, they're kind of semi-indigenous, aren't they?
We have a dietes that's indigenous to Zambia.
Yes.
I found it up in the Mafingas, but
anyway, it'll be fine. We can always do away with it someday.
Well, and people do like an area to come and relax in, and this is
and I think we'll have a picnic table here, and people can bring a picnic. So there's the rest of the Syzygium indiense. It's very difficult to kill.
Yeah.
That bamboo is actually an indigenous bamboo. We found the seed on the escarpment at the Luana Valley.
Oh, lovely.
And managed to get it to grow. It's the
Oxytenanthera.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because it's much bigger than Oreobambus, which is kind of a straggly little bamboo and things. That's a fantastic clump. Has it given you problems in any way? Because I know bamboos can be quite aggressive in their growth as well. Do you find that it dries out, areas and behind it?
No, there's another clump there. No, we haven't found that, I don't think. Have we? I don't know, I don't think so.
And do you have any of this available for sale?
We did have, and we haven't anymore, but we're hoping that this will seed. Because this has been here for about 20-25 years. And then it will seed, and I think it dies after seeding. Is it flowering?
I don't remember if it's monocarpic.
Don't go too close to the edge, you'll fall in.
I don't see any flowers on it at the moment.
But this was supposed, sometimes there are really interesting birds down here.
And I imagine everything comes here for a drink, effectively.
Well, if anything that lives here.
Yeah.
But
and then, of course, your dogs. At least I've seen one really enjoying the water, effectively.
They love it.
But it is a nice, cool kind of area at this time of year.
And actually, you can see it from Google Earth.
Oh, is it?
It's a green thing in the middle.
Green blob.
Yeah.
Sam, you mentioned about Mpundu.
Just there and there. Big one there.
Just, okay, yeah.
It's flowering now.
And its progeny abound here and there. I do like Mpundu, but they take a long time to grow. This is a tree that you really have to wait for, effectively. And the fruit, do you find that fruit bats move the fruit around and stuff?
Yes, they're all scattered on the lawn, aren't they, the fruit? All eaten by bats.
Because that's what we find too. I don't have an Mpundu on my plot, but you'll always get seedlings and seeds popping around because of the fruit bats moving them. So at least a very important food source for them. But no, a very nice spot in here.